Welcome to episode 11 of the SOC Level 2 pathway of TryHackMe, in which we're going to go through the Advanced ELK module and we're going to go through the Advanced ELK Queries room, where we search through large datasets efficiently with advanced queries in Kibana from ELK Stack. My name is Hank Hackerson, your host, and this is Hank Hacks Hackers, and I do encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so that you get notified the next time that we drop a new video. But first, this is Hackaholics Anonymous, the premier YouTube community for security professionals and hackers. When I started this journey, there were a lot of tools, there were a lot of resources and information that I didn't have. And at first, I started this channel as a way to collect ideas, tactics, and strategies for my own future reference. And then a community, which is you, gathered around it. And before I knew it, there were dozens of people, and then hundreds of people, and then all of a sudden thousands of people. And as the time went by, through the comments and really a lot of self-reflection, I started to wonder how I could actually add more value to the community. Therefore, the idea for Hackaholics Anonymous popped into my head. And I very much love that name. A community of insiders who would be able to show their support and in exchange get some of my best value and a lot of my creations and the things that I really have been working a lot on that I want to give to you guys. So these are things like early access, merchandise discounts, members only videos, Python scripts that I've developed, both for cybersecurity administration, for pen testing, for system administration, a lot of cheat sheets, manuals, live trainings, personal coaching, and much, much more. And the intention behind this whole thing is, number one, to help you advance your knowledge and skills at a rapid pace, so much quicker than what you're getting right now. Then to give you access to tools and resources that you can take anywhere and repurpose as needed. So for example, the Python scripts, you can use them for your own computers, you can use them for any jobs that you go to and any contracting jobs that you get, anything that you really can find a purpose for, you can use all of those resources for that free of charge for as much as you want. And next, I want to build a team of advanced hackers to combine forces with them so that we can go after large bug bounties. And bug bounties are literally things that you can do for companies to find bugs in their systems or to find vulnerabilities, and they'll pay you for that. For example, $1 million Apple bounty, and this is actually a very real thing, where you can get paid $1 million from Apple if you're able to attack certain parts of their systems and accomplish such bug bounties. So it would be really cool to be able to combine forces with people, and then we can go after it and then pool the bounties, pull the money out, as long as obviously people contribute and we actually do something to get those results. And finally, I really want to be able to create content full-time. As this journey has progressed for me, there's been a very big passion that is developed for teaching and for building this community, and it would be amazing to be able to do that full-time and not have to worry about things like paying bills and worrying about the necessities of life. And if that actually is happening or gets to happen, it would literally be a dream coming true for me. So that's kind of like the extra perk at the end of all this, that I think it would be amazing if that could actually happen. I have no idea if it'll happen or not, but it's an intention that I'm putting out into the universe, and if it does happen, it would be freaking amazing. Now here's how the perks were actually selected and how I developed the perks for our membership community. First, I did a lot of recon, very similar to what we do when we do pen testing and when we do vulnerability analysis. I did reconnaissance on all the channels that are in this genre and anything similar to this genre to see what those channels were offering to their paid members. And believe it or not, there are literally, and I underline that for a reason, there are literally channels that charge $50 a month for being a great supporter, quote unquote. That's basically all they're offering in exchange is, hey, kudos to you, thank you for being a supporter, thanks for giving us $50 a month. And that's basically it. And people contribute, and people actually do contribute those $50 a month because they want to support that channel. But there's no perks, no exchange happening of value. I guess there is exchange because the channel is up and they're creating content, but that's basically it. And the person is supporting the channel by offering them whatever they're offering per month. So there are no other extra perks that are attached to somebody becoming a paid member. And that feels, to me, it feels a little bit unfair. So even on the lowest tier of the Hackaholics Anonymous perks, you'll at least get something in return for being a supporter, for actually adding value to our community by using your dollars and cents. So at the very least, we'll give you something in return for that. Now this is tier 1. Tier 1 is the cyber supporter, and you get early access to new videos, so 24-hour early access to all the content that comes in, including the videos and tutorials. You get priority reply to comments, and you get custom emojis and badges to distinguish you from the rest of our community. And I will give you a shout out in whatever video comes out. As long as I know that there's a new supporter that comes in, I'm going to make a list of all of those people, and I'm going to give you a shout out just to give you a little bit of extra notoriety, give you some PR and boost if you're trying to build your channel out, and to just make sure that you get the recognition that you deserve. And then moving on to tier 2, which is going to be the cyber agent. And so you get everything from cyber supporter. So all of the perks actually stack on top of each other, and you get everything from the previous tiers as well. So you get everything from cyber supporter. The early access to videos bumps up to 48 hours, so it goes from 24 hours to 48 hours. There's member only videos that are attached to this, and that includes the bug bounties, and it includes the cheat sheets and the manuals. And this is a monthly exclusive content drop that will just include all the bug bounty missions that we're going to be working on, the progress with those missions, the downloadable cheat sheets and or manuals that would either be attached to those missions or just separate cheat sheets and manuals that I've been stacking as I've been going through my own cybersecurity journey. And then we have the monthly system administration Python automation. So this is a little bit of a beginner level series of Python automations, but they are very heavily stacked. So you kind of do need to know a little bit about Python, but even if you don't, there are going to be source codes, there's going to be documentation that's going to be included, and there's going to be the videos that explain everything and how to customize these Python automations so that you can use them for any system administration job. So for example, provisioning a bunch of new users on Active Directory, where you don't have to do it manually, and you can just run the script and make sure, as long as you have a document that's connected that has all their usernames and passwords, it literally just runs and creates everything for you, and it just makes your life super easy. So it's things like that. And there's going to be a monthly Python drop that will include these scripts that have all the source code, everything that you would need to actually run it, and it goes for Windows and Mac OS. And then there's the documentation, and then of course there's the videos that tag along with that. And then finally for this, we have the members only Discord chat, and this is something that's been really big, and I've been getting a lot of comments about this. So there's going to be weekly chats that are going to happen where I'll be present, we'll be live, we'll be going back and forth in the chat, and then you can just ask me anything that you want on Discord. We can have any kind of conversation, and we'll be doing this weekly for our cyber agents. The next tier is going to be the Cyber Guardian, and of course this stacks everything from Cyber Agent as well as Cyber Supporter. So you get all the Python scripts from Cyber Agent, you get all the perks from Cyber Agent as well as Cyber Supporter. So it brings all of that stuff, as well as now you get an early access bump up to 72 hours. So the early access to all the content goes up to 72 hours, basically 3 days. And then you now get members only live streams with Q&A. So we go out of the Discord chat and we actually go into a video environment. We'll do a live stream. We'll do a presentation on a specific topic. It could be the bug bounty. It could be really anything. And then on top of that, we'll have a session for Q&A where you can just ask all of your questions, AMA, which is also Ask Me Anything, and we'll just go through whatever you need, talk about anything that you want. You can ask me anything about anything, and that'll be another perk. And then we also have the monthly cybersecurity administration automation. So this is going from system administration, and now it's going into SciSec administration. So these are things that are now on the blue team side of things, the log analysis side of things, all of the activities that a cybersecurity admin is doing repetitively, that there's going to be a Python automation created, ready to go out of the box. And it includes obviously the source code, the documentation, and a video that goes into it. And this is now graduating from a beginner level code to an intermediate level code. And again, this, you could use this for anything. You could use it for yourself, you could use it for the jobs that you go on. And I'm actually really proud of these things. Like the automations is a very big deal for me, because I know that it helps so much in my own life that I was like, okay, you know what? I feel like this would actually be very useful if we started giving it to all of our members. So we already had the sysadmin Python automations, and now we have the monthly cybersecurity administrator Python automations that are included as well. And finally, we have the merchandise discounts that come in at Cyber Guardian, which is 10% discount on all the merchandise in the Hackaholics Anonymous store. And the store is going to be pretty badass too. So I'm really excited about all the merch that's about to drop as well. So really excited about all of these things that are happening. And honestly, I just hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I am. And last but definitely not least is going to be our Cyber Master tier, which is everything from Cyber Guardian, everything from Cyber Agent, Cyber Supporter, all of those things. And this stacks on top of all of those things. And the early access now bumps up to a week instead of 72 hours. You get a week advanced early access to all of the content. There's going to be members only live streams with Q&A, where this is a weekly exclusive. So previously it was a monthly exclusive live stream where it was happening for the Cyber Guardians, but this is going to be a weekly exclusive live stream where you can literally ask me anything that you want about anything. And because of the tier being the higher of all of the tiers, I do expect that these communities or these members are going to be a little bit less in numbers, so it'll be much more intimate live streams, and we'll get a chance to really have deep conversations about a lot of the specific topics, and we can go really deep into whatever conversation or whatever topic that you want to have. So this is one of the reasons why it's tiered as high as it is. And of course, we have the monthly pen testing Python automations. And so the pen testing side of things is now going into offensive security. So cybersecurity admin was the defensive, they were on the blue team, and the pen tester is now on the red team. This is the offensive security side of automations, and these are advanced automations. So this is things like web vulnerability assessments, these are port scanners. There are a lot of great advanced Python automations that actually help with penetration testing and ethical hacking. And of course, you get the source code, you get the documentations, you get the videos that accompanies it. And this is kind of my pride and joy. The pen testing stuff, the pen testing Python stuff is absolute. I'm so happy that these things work the way that they do. And of course, all of these work for Windows as well as Mac OS. There's going to be a folder where you get access to all the Windows as well as all the Mac OS. So in case Mac OS and Linux, because those two are very similar languages. So in case, you know, the computer at work is Windows and the computer at home is Linux for whatever reason, you get access to both versions of the source code so that you can do exactly what the intended script wants to do on all types of machines. And finally, we get merchandise discounts that go up to 20% on everything that comes in the Hackaholics Anonymous store, and that is the Cyber Master tier. Which brings us to our call to action. I know I threw a lot at you, and ultimately this is coming to a very wrapping point because I didn't want this video to be very long because it's going to be integrated with all of our other content and things like that. So if you want to show appreciation for this channel and everything that constantly comes out, and if you want to show appreciation to me, if you want to excel your learning and your career, if you want to get specialized content, if you want to get badass automations, and if you want to team up for bug bounties and make real money, then I very much encourage you to join the Hackaholics Anonymous community today. This is something that I'm very excited about, and I worked very hard on establishing it and building the automations and making sure that there is real value that's being exchanged for it. And I really don't care what level you come in, because even from the supporter to the Cyber Master, I really truly appreciate every single person that becomes a member of our community. And I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to make sure that this community is very valuable for you and you get some serious perks out of it. And you'll see as you come on, everything from the cheat sheets to the manuals to the specialized videos to the automations to the bug bounty programs and all the stuff that we're going to be doing together. You will see that it's going to be an amazing membership community to be a part of. And my goal, as I said from the very beginning of this whole thing, my goal is to make this the premier community for all of the security professionals, hackers, and everybody who just wants to be in cybersecurity. That's all genuinely the goal for this. So I very much look forward to seeing you in our membership program. If you can make it, that would be amazing. If not, I very much encourage that you subscribe and like and turn on notification bell, drop a comment, all that stuff, just to help us grow this community and make this channel even better than it actually is. All right, so as an intro, in a SOC center, so a security operations center, analysts are constantly overloaded with data from a bunch of different sources. So this could be network traffic log, it could be IDS log, it could be vulnerability scanners, it could be the actual endpoint, meaning the machines that you're monitoring. There's a lot of logs, okay? We went through a logs room, so if you never saw the logs video, or the intro to logs series, there was about 4 videos that we did where we just went through all the different types of logs and how to manually parse through logs and logs. There were just so many logs that exist in a network security or system security environment, and it gets really overwhelming. So trying to parse through those things manually is going to drive you insane, which is why we have something called a SIM, a security information and event manager. And one of the most powerful and free SIMs is Kibana, which is a part of ELK Stack, and it's literally open source. So it's like it's one of the greatest tools that exists, especially if your organization or you yourself don't have the budget to pay, several $100s a month for something like Splunk. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, which is the advanced queries for Kibana, which is part of the ELK Stack series of software. And it's focused on the visualization portion of things. So it gives you a GUI, a graphic user interface, and you get to go through, all the data that you're gonna bring in with Logstash and with the Kibana search and Elasticsearch and all those things. And Kibana actually goes ahead and visualizes all of that content for you, all of that data, so that you can search through it easily. The objectives are to just learn about the different types of advanced queries and learn about the syntax of the KQL and Lucene, so the Kibana query language and Lucene. The prerequisites are a lot, so it's assuming that you know the basics of going through the Kibana dashboard. I've already done a video on this, so if you haven't seen it, definitely go through the channel and just search through the content that's available. You can search through the actual search piece right here, this little what do we call it, a magnifying glass. Through the magnifying glass, you can just type in elk and it'll bring in, the thumbnails imply that it's an elk, right? So we go through the intro of ELK Stack with Kibana and a few of these other things, and then you just get a good idea of what it actually is, what it actually looks like. And all the videos prior to the one that you're watching right now go through the setup of everything. So Logstash, the data processing unit, how to install it, how to install Kibana, how to install Elasticsearch, all of those things. And then we go through some custom alert rules in Wazoo. So these are all the videos. These are the videos that should have been launched before you even got a chance to watch this one. So by the time that this video comes out, the one that you're watching right now, those 2 videos are going to be up. And then of course advanced Splunk videos are already up, and the log analysis videos are already up. So you should have a good foundation of all of these things before you have to go into advanced queries with Kibana. So that's all assumed that you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend you go through those videos. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about regular expressions specifically in Kibana, and we're going to discuss those in the upcoming task number 7. And regex is not going to be addressed in this particular video, but I will explain how we created those things. So if you don't already know regular expressions, it would be a good idea to go and learn a little bit about regular expressions. And I like using Gemini or these various other AIs to kind of explain how to find regex, or how to create regex rules for searching through content and finding the things that I want to find. And as a bonus piece, just to make sure you have it for this channel and basically for everything else that you do, I'm going to create a video on the regex room that's available in TryHackMe, because I know that they do very good comprehensive teachings when it comes down to concepts and topics. So I'm definitely going to do a video on that, and I'll actually do it right after I record this video, and I'll launch that so that it's available, so that for future reference, if anything that you need that involves regular expressions, you can just refer back to that video. Setting up and connecting to this thing, it just depends on if you're going to be using your own computer or if you're going to be using the attack box that's available through TryHackMe. I always use the attack box because there's less problems and it's just much quicker that way. But if you wanted to use OpenVPN and you wanted to connect to it, then you could do it. As soon as you're connected to OpenVPN, you would just go to that specific web address in your browser. I'm going to be using the attack box, so I'm just going to go to this specific address, which is essentially the same thing, kind of, except this one is the IP address, this one is turned into a web address. And then this is going to be the username and password for using Kibana to make this thing happen. I do recommend you, in some capacity, either download Kibana, install it, go through all the installation videos, or use the attack box and the virtual machines that are available through TryHackMe, because it's so much easier if you click around and do these exercises as I'm doing them instead of just watching. So I definitely do recommend that you use this as an opportunity to do the practical steps behind this. And yeah, get that going. So I've already clicked on the green start machine right here. I've already clicked on the start attack box, which is what you see on the right side of the screen right here. And then once we click on it, this is exactly what we're gonna land on. So I'm gonna actually go to that, and then I'm gonna open it up in a new video, and then we're gonna go through basically creating some queries with Kibana. Should be fun. All right, before we jump into the queries, we have to first understand that we have two different syntaxes that we're going to be working with. So there's the KQL, which is the Kibana query language, which is kind of the intuitive, inherent language that comes with Kibana. And then we have Lucene, so this Lucene query syntax. And KQL supports two types of syntax, so which is the KQL and of course Lucene. Kibana query language, KQL, is a user-friendly query language developed by Elastic specifically for Kibana. It provides autocomplete suggestions, supports filtering using various operators. There's another query language abbreviated as KQL, which is the Custo query language, and that's not what we're talking about because that's used in Microsoft. This is not the same, right? So just keep that in mind. We're talking about Kibana query language when we say KQL here. And then there's the Lucene query syntax, LQL, LQS, excuse me, which is another query language powered by an open source engine used as a backend for search engines, including Elasticsearch. So it's more powerful than KQL, but it's harder to learn if you're a beginner. So choice of whatever you want to use ultimately depends on the situation and type of data that you're searching for. So in this room, we're going to be switching from one to the other just to kind of help you get a feel for both. There are special characters that are involved in this, just like any other sim that you're going to use. So this shouldn't be new. If you've had a chance to work with Python, if you had a chance to work with SQL or any of these various query languages, this shouldn't be new. So this, you should be able to kind of wrap your head around a lot of this stuff. Certain characters are reserved in ELK and must be escaped before usage. So reserved characters include the plus sign, minus sign, equal sign, double and, double pipe, single and, single pipe, and of course the exclamation. For instance, using the plus in a query will result in an error. So to escape this, you have to precede it with a backslash, which is backslash plus. And this is something that is very similar to what happens in regular expressions, so regex. So let's say that you want to search for documents that contain user +1 in the username field, and simply typing this is going to result in an error because the symbol is reserved. So to escape it, you need to do user backslash +1 because you need to escape that, and the query will return the result, which is this username basically, right? So you gotta, it's a little bit complicated, I understand, but it is what it is, and we got to learn how to deal with it. So wildcards are another concept that you need to understand. For instance, using the asterisk, will match any number of characters, so it's a wildcard, and this is fairly congruent with all of the different languages. But using the question mark wildcard will match only a single character. So wildcard scenarios, let's say that you're searching for all the documents that contain the word monitor in the product name field, but the spelling may vary. So it could be monitors, monitoring, monitor one, example. So to capture all the things, you use the wildcard, which would be product name equals monit, and then the asterisk. So it includes these characters at the very beginning and then anything after the fact, and that's what the asterisk does, right? So if you're searching for all documents where the name field starts with a J and ends with an N, you can then use the question mark for the wildcard, which could be name equals J and then question N. So it could be Jen, it could be John, anything like that. and it's going to match any document where the field begins with a J and ends with an N, but will only be 3 characters long, right? So this will be JEN, JAN, JON, whatever. This, if you put the asterisk, it could be, you know, JOHN. It could be multiple characters in the middle of it. In this particular case, it's going to be 1 character. So understanding this will help you kind of understand the rest of the advanced queries that we're going to be talking about. So here's some questions to use as a review. So how do you escape the text password me and try equals hack, not including the double quotes? So remember, we need to do an escape before this, we need to do an escape before this, and escape before that. So it's going to be password, and then me, escape, so backslash, and then try, escape, equal, hack, escape, exclamation. And that should be it. There we go. Using wildcards, what will your query be if you want to search for all documents containing the words hacking and hack in the activity field? So it would be activity, and then hack, and then the wildcard character of asterisk, and that should be good. Just like that, right? So fairly, I mean, kind of simple once you understand the patterns and everything. So let's talk about nested queries. All right, when a query is nested, or when data is nested, it means it's essentially inside of a nest, if you want to think about it like that, meaning between certain brackets, right? So JSON, which is the JavaScript object notation, you don't need to know that, but JSON is essentially the format where it involves these brackets, right? So it could be that it's a system, and these are called key value pairs. So the system would be the key, the value would be web server, system, database, etc., right? So these are key value pairs. So in this particular case, the author is Alice, the text is mitigated DDoS attack, the author is Bob, the text is checked log, found suspicious IPs, so on and so forth. This is what the type of syntax is when you're dealing with nested queries, right, or nested values. So the record ID would be 1, the DDoS is the incident type, the affected systems would be web server and the database, the comments would be as such. The record is malware, the affected system, again, web server and the file server, and then author Charlie, text, removed malware, author Eve, text, updated, so on and so. So it's the pattern is this: you have a key and then you have a value. You have a key and then you have a value. When you have multiple key value pairs, it's separated by a comma, right? And then all of that is inside of the squiggly bracket. And then when you have multiple sets of key value pairs, then they're inside of the square bracket. So you see there's a square bracket here, square bracket at the very end, and inside of it there's this section, and then there is this section. And inside of the squiggly brackets you have the comma that separates this key value pair from this key value pair, and then you have the comma here that separates this entire section from this entire section. So very simple. You deal with quotes, colons, and commas, and then squiggly brackets and square brackets. That's basically it. So the comments field is an array of objects where each object has an author and a text field, where we already saw. So let's start by returning all the entries with the value comments.author field. We could use the wildcard as we've learned, and we're going to be actually using Kibana now. We're going to be going to Kibana to try to find this information. So when you do comment author asterisk, it's going to bring everybody. So it should bring entries from 1 to 5. And then we want to search for the comments that only contain Alice. We would say comments author, and then we would put Alice's name, right? So they will only return 1, 3, and 5 because these are the ones that Alice are the author for. So if we want to do and comments are attack, so the comment author equals Alice and the comments text has the word attack in it, then you would just use the word and as your operator. So we're going to try this out, and I'm going to go ahead and open this up in a bigger screen. So we're going to do the full screen, and we're going to run it. I'm going to open up the instructions on a separate window, so you'll only get to see me operating inside of this whole thing right here. And then based on this, we'll just have some fun. So let's try it. All right, before we can actually do any querying, we have to first get to the data. So the first thing you want to do is you just want to click the menu, this little hamburger icon. They call it a hamburger menu, I guess, because it has like 3 layers or whatever. So you click on the hamburger menu, and then you go right down to the section where it says discover, which is this beautiful word. It's the second word right here. And when you go to discover, it's going to bring up another drop-down menu for you where you can choose the index. And we want to work with the nested queries index because that's the exercise that we're on. And based on whatever environment you're in, you would have captured multiple different indices or indexes. And we talked about how to do this in the previous video where we were setting up Logstash and Kibana and how to forward data from different sources and create indexes as you're forwarding the data. So this is where the data lands inside of Kibana. In previous videos, we talked about this is how you take data from an endpoint or from a file, and then you forward it to an index that can be read by Kibana, and this is where the index shows up, and then now you have the data here. So this is all the data, and then so once we have our index chosen, now we can actually go to our search bar right here, and we can really start querying. Basically, this is kind of it. So we're gonna go for the same query that they asked us to do, and let me see if it's actually working. All right, it is working. It's just a little slow, it seems. So there we go. So we have comments.author. Let me zoom in a little bit. Comments.author is going to be Alice, and then we're gonna close that out with a quote, and comments.text is going to have the word attack in it, and that's going to be our query. So if we press enter on this, we should get a limited number of results. So we previously had 5, if you saw, and then now we only have 1. So there we go. This is our hit. And don't show this again. I already understand that there's autocomplete. Thank you so much. So there you go. That's it. This is our hit. And we have, the comment author is Alice, and Bob, and then the comment text says mitigated DDoS attack, check logs, found suspicious IPs. The affected systems.system key is going to have the web server and the database as our values, and then the incident type is DDoS, record ID number 1, ID itself is the individual unique ID, and then the index that is inside, and the score and the type, and that's it, just like that. So very, very simple. We were able to get our first one. So now we're going to go into a bigger data set, right? Because this specific one, so if I just delete this whole thing, you can see that it literally only had 5 items in here. So it wasn't really that big of a deal to be able to go through inside of the nested queries. There's only 5 hits. You could just go through this manually. So we're going to go through a bigger one, which is our incidents index. And this should have a few more results for us to parse through. So let's see what we can find. When you first load it, obviously it doesn't show anything because over here is going only through the last 15 minutes of data. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to expand on this, and instead of going from 15 minutes ago, we want to do an absolute date range where we go from, they're telling us to go from January 1st of 2022 to right now. So I'm going to go through here, and I'm just literally going to go to 2022, and then we're going to go January 1st, 2022, and we're going to do right now. There we go. So January 1st, 2022 at 00000000000 until now. And so if I now update this, we should get some data. Okay, here we go. We got 1,000 hits once this whole thing loaded. And the first question is asking us how many incidents exist where the affected file is marketing strategy 2023-723 PowerPoint, it seems. So what I'm going to do is search for that, and then there's a bunch of different types of queries that already exist, which is really nice. So what we're trying to see is we're trying to go through affected files, and so we can see file name here, affected file system, affected file name right here, and then you can see file path, so on and so forth. So I'm just going to choose this as my parameter, and then from here I'm going to try to see if I can fine tune this, right? So I'm going to do this, and then from here we'll add the actual name of the file, so that I'm assuming that this is my key for the file that I'm searching for. So this is what we're actually searching for as the file name. All right, there we go. Let's see if this actually brings up anything. Got 4 hits. There you go. So affected file system, affected file name, client list, etc. Affected file, what else we got? Marketing strategy, there we go. So affected file name, there were multiple hits. So there's the CSV of client list, employee records, quarterly report, and of course marketing strategy. So I got 4 hits out of this whole thing. So let's see if that's actually our answer for this particular one. Very good. So now how many incidents exist where the affected files in the file servers are titled marketing strategy? So affected files in the file server. So if I delete this thing again, and let's see if there's something else that we can find over here. Okay, so what you can do here in this particular case, first we have to find the file servers, and then we're going to find the files inside of the file servers that have marketing strategy in the name, right? And one of the things that you can do, and this is pretty much across all the different tools, is that you can stack queries and stack filters on top of each other. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to first get our affected systems, which is the affected system types itself. It's going to be system type. That is going to be our file server, right? So the value that we want to search for here is file server right here, right? So affected systems.system type is going to be file server. So we're going to save that. And then that's going to be something that we're going to search through on top of the query that we have over here. And since we have that as our pre-filter, we can now add this other one, which is going to be our affected systems.affected files. File name is going to be marketing strategy. And then you put an asterisk right there. And now you have a fine-tuned version of this, which is 135 hits. So let's see if this is actually our right answer. And that is the right answer. So first you needed to go through this little add filter thing, and you can do this multiple times, right? Like you could do another filter and then add another thing and then keep doing it until it like just narrows down more and more. So you stack 2 filters on top of each other, or 2 queries essentially on top of each other, and you're going to get that result. And I'm gonna check real quick to see if I could just do this in the query language altogether, instead of just doing this piece right here, right? So let's see if I could do that without doing this piece at the bottom right here. Yeah, there you go. So instead of adding it at the bottom as an extra filter right here, you could just write it out completely right here. So it could be affected systems, system type is file server, like that, and affected systems, affected file name is marketing strategy with the asterisk at the end. So you have 2 separate queries that are combined, and you still get 135 hits, which is the answer. So we're stacking queries on top of each other to fine tune our results. So let's go to the next question. It says there's a true positive alert on a web server where the admin and its users were logged on. What is the name of the web server? So a true positive alert on a web server where the admin and its users were logged on. What is the name of the web server? Okay, so there are a few things that we're going to be modifying. So we're basically stacking queries. That's another thing that we're doing. So we're stacking queries on top of each other. In this particular case, the first part is going to be the same. So we're going to do affected system type. Instead of file server, it's going to be web server. And then on top of that, we're going to add an and for ourselves. And it's going to be the affected user is what we're looking for, or the logged on user specifically is what we're looking for. And it's nice because, again, it just shows you all of these things as you go through this. And this is just some of the items right here. And you can always go and search through the information here. So you have affected systems logged on user, which is another query that's available to us. So I could just do affected systems logged on users, right? So our logged on users, and the value is going to be admin, and then we're going to add another one, right? So we want to compile this again because we're searching for something else, which is the incident comments needs to be true positive, right? So the one thing that we're looking for, it says there's a true positive on alert where the admin, so true positive piece right here is the alert itself. So inside of the incident comments, we're going to be looking for true positive. So if I don't do that, just to give you an idea, we're just going to do this. We're going to press enter, and then we'll see we have 22 hits, which isn't bad. So 22 hits is kind of easy to parse through, but we want to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. So we're going to add another query on this, where we have this thing right here called incident comments. So we want to see inside of incident comments what we can find. So let's go and see what we can do. So we'll do incident comments, and then we're just going to have true positive inside of the incident comments, and then see, now we have 5 hits now. There you go. So that is definitely much more manageable than 22 or 1,000, for example. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to find the web server name in this particular case, and it says it right here. So we have incident system type is web server, and the web server name is the information that we're looking for. So that is something that now, because there's only 5 items, I can kind of search for or search through and see if I can find the key value pair, or the parameter essentially that would have a value of the web server name, and then we can try to find what the actual web server name is. Okay, so here we go. This is where sims come in super handy, right? So instead of trying to go through all this stuff, right, you can go through these filters already that have been created for us, these values that have already been pulled, and there's something right here called affected systems system name. So I click on that, and now I have system names here, and I have web server 8, 99, 77, 26, and 91, which could potentially be my answers. And the thing is, all of them have it. So they have admin and Heather Cooper and Pamela McCoy. There's true positive. They're all web servers. So essentially at this point, I'm just trying to find the answer that they're looking for, just to see which web server it is. So I'm just going to go through the various names. So they're all web servers, right? So web server 8, 99, 77, 26, and 91. So let's try that. So let's go from the beginning. We have web server 8. It's not it. 99. It's not it. 77. 77 is it. There we go. So web server 77 was the one that they were talking about. So just like that, we were able to pull our information. One of the big things that I learned here, and I think is just very important to point out, is that you can stack queries on top of each other to just fine tune the data that you're trying to parse through. It's very important to understand this. You can do this and this and this. So if I just did incident comments is true positive, just to give you an idea, if we did true positive, there's 228 hits that come through as true positive, and that's just a little bit insane to try to go through, right? So affected system type could be web server, so we'll just add that, right? So affected systems, and then system type, we'll just do web server and incident comments, and it goes from 228 to 49, which is still a pain in the ass to do. So this is why we stack these things on top of each other to fine tune this information. And it's also very important to note that instead of and, if I did or, then it would bring 421, because now it's bringing all the web server system types and it's bringing all the true positive system types. So when you do or, it combines things. When you do and, it filters them down and shrinks the results down. So that's very important to understand as well. So you can stack queries on top of each other, and you can use them to either increase your results or shrink your results. So let's move on to ranges now. All right, so range queries allow you to search for documents with field values that have a specified range. So let's look at this potential data set, right? So you have an alert ID, which in this case is going to be malware detection, unusual login attempts, suspicious traffic, unauthorized file access, phishing email are the alert types. And then these are the response times. So 120, 240, 600, so on and so forth. So you know that a certain type of attack has a certain response time. So if it's a malware detection, it's 120. If it's a phishing email, it's 180. So you know if you do anything between 100 and 200, you'll get either malware detection or phishing email, right? So to search for all documents where the response time is greater than or equal to a certain number, the query would be this. So response time is greater than or equal to 100, and it will bring you literally all of this information. If you want something for less than 300, so it would only bring you what? It would bring this, this, and this, right? It's not going to include 300 because we didn't say less than or equal to. We said less than. So if you want to combine them, just like we did previously, you could do response time is greater than or equal to 100 and less than 300. And now it's going to bring you, the same results basically, because in this case, they kind of are all ranged between 100 to 300. So this is going to return the alert ID 1, 2, and 5, which is what we have here, 1, 2, and 5, right? So ranges are beneficial for dates because you want to find something between two dates. There are different ways to search by ranges, and there's one way by specifying the date by following specific formats. So you could have timestamp is this, right? So the time is optional. You can also do the following: timestamp is this. So this is less than this, and then greater than this. And this is obviously just the format of the timestamp. You could also just do this particular thing just to have the year, month, and the day. This portion goes into the time, minute, and seconds, so you don't need to worry about that specifically. You could just go through the day, right? So the timestamp is greater than this day, anything after that day. Timestamp is less than anything before that day, right? So this is now what we're going to try inside of our Kibana instance. So the first thing that we want to do is we just want to make sure that we're using the right index, which is in this case going to be the ranges index. So that's the first thing that I'm going to change, is I'm going to go here and change from incidents, and we're going to go to ranges because that's the one that we're going to mess with a little bit. And in this particular case, I should have a refresh. Let me see. There's actually, so I've got to remove my query. That's the other thing. So I have 5 in my index here, 5 data ranges. And I've refreshed it, and I think I'm good for the specific date and time. I don't think I need to modify that just yet. So let's see what the instructions tell us. The instructions say that you're going to use the query response time is this and response time is that, and you should see the following results, which will be 3 hits. So from the 5 hits that we had, it should drop down to 3, and then essentially now we're going to go back to the incidents data set and use what we've learned to try to answer the questions for that are here. So let's go and try to find that information. So I'm just going to do the sample thing that they gave us just so we can kind of get a feel of it. So it'll be this. Let me zoom in a little bit. Here we go. And we got nothing. Oh, because I misspelled response here. So response time and response time. So that should be good. So let's try that again. There we go. So we got 3. And just like we thought. So we're going to go back to our incidents again. And we're going to try to fine tune some results here. So back to our 1,000 hits. And the first question says, how many data leak incidents have a severity of 9 and up? Okay, so first we need to find the specific parameters that we're going to be filtering for, right? So we have incident type, which is one of the parameters. And if we go over here, we see that data leak is one of them. So we know we can filter for incident type. And then severity level, let's see if there is something for severity level. Right here, there's a severity level. So we have severity level 9 and up and 5 and so on and so forth. So we know we can do by severity level and we can do by incident type, right? So that's what we're going to do in our search parameter. So we're going to do severity. Actually, I will do incident type first. Incident type is going to be, what was it? Data leak. And severity level is going to be greater than, or equal to 9. Let's see what we get. We get 52 hits. So let's see if that's the answer. Should be the answer, right? There we go, 52. So how many incidents before December 1st, 2022 has A. Johnston investigated where the affected system is either an email or web server? Ooh, this is an interesting one. So we have to combine a lot of things. And now we also have to do email or web server. So it's a combination of this is the date and A. Johnston is the user. And then the affected system is email or web server. So that's where it gets a little bit interesting. And I think for this one, I might actually just use that little add filter thing that we can do to just kind of make it a little bit easier for us. Okay, so going back to our 1,000 hits, so let's see what type of data that we can actually filter for. So we have logged on users, we have incident type, we have the team member email address, and then there's A. Johnston right here. So we can definitely go for email address. That's the guy that we're trying to filter for. We can do the date, obviously. So we have timestamp that we can mess with, and timestamp actually shows us the various dates and things like that. It could also be the incident date that we can mess with as well. Those are the two that we can definitely filter for. So we're looking for incidents before this. So it's going to be incident date is less than 12/1/2022, right? And then the email address is A. Johnston, and then the affected system is either an email or web server. So let me see how I can combine all of that stuff to give us a good filter here. Okay, so as you can see from the error messages on the right here, you can't do, or at least I don't know how to do, a super long query in the search right here where it would include all of those filters. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this add filter button here. And first we're just going to search for our affected systems, right? So affected system type is going to be one of, so is one of, and it's going to be email server or web server, and you just separate those by commas. So it's going to be one of these two. It's either or, and then we're going to have that. So there you go. We're going to add that as our custom option. There we go. And then we're going to save that. And then the next one that we got is going to be our team member's email address that we also have to add to this thing. So the team member's email address is going to be a different one. So let's go here. And that's going to be A. Johnston's email address, which is CyberT, I think, right? So A. Johnston at cyberT.com. Press enter. That should be our guy. So we got that. And so now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we just do our timestamp correctly, right? So the timestamp is the piece that is going to actually bring our results here. And it's going to be less than 2022 December 1st. So let's see if we actually get anything from these results. Okay, so I think that's what I messed up here. So I included email server and web server in one thing. So it should be email server enter and then web server enter. So it's separated like this. I separated them by commas automatically. So I'm going to do this here. Oh, there we go. So now we have 64 hits. There we go. That works actually. So the timestamp I put up here. The affected system type is going to be either one of, and I'll just show you this filter one more time, is the system type right here, is one of these two, email server and web server, and that's all good. And then the team member address, very simple. The email address is ajohnston@cyberT.com. And then we have 64 hits. And was that even the question? So it says how many incidents before this? Yeah, so 64. And oh, that's not the answer. So where the affected system is either email or web server before December 1st, 2022, as A. Johnston investigated. So let's see. Yeah, so this actually should be the right answer. 64 should be the right answer. But I just did some Googling and I think, yeah, okay, so for some reason, the answer is 63 and it's not 64. So I don't know, maybe if it was like some kind of a typo when they created this lab or if it was an error on TryHackMe side, but we did the right work. The work itself is right. You know how your math teacher always wants to see your work to see how you got the answer? We did the right work. We actually took the right path and we did everything correctly. It's just that the result, for whatever reason in the system, for what TryHackMe is expecting, is different than what we got when we did our search query. So the answer, just for yourself, if you're going through this room, is 63. If you're not going through this room and you're just trying to learn Kibana and the query language, we did exactly what we were supposed to do. So the work itself is right. It's just that for whatever reason, other students got the same problem where they ran across it and 64 wasn't the right answer. So 63 is the answer that they're looking for. And the work that we did was absolutely correct. So now moving on to the last question, which is from the incident IDs of 1 to 500, what is the email address of the SOC analyst that left a comment on an incident that the data leak on file server 65 is a false positive. Okay, so that's a whole freaking series of things. So what we're trying to filter for is the incident ID 1 to 500. The email address is what we're looking for. We're going through the comments on the incident, and the data leak is the type of the incident. So incident type is going to be data leak. The IDs are going to be between 1 and 500. And then we're also going to be looking for the file server 65. So those are all of the things that we're going to be filtering for in this particular case. So first and foremost, let's try to just narrow it down by file server. All right, so I removed our previous query. So as before, since we're going to be doing a bunch of things on top of each other, I'm going to first go for the system type, which is file server, right? So the affected system type, there we go, is going to be is our file server. So that's the first thing that we're going to filter for. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want to add another filter for the name of the thing. So the affected system file server name is going to be file server 65. So that's the other one. Here we go. And that's going to be is file server 65, like that. Okay, so we got 3 hits, so it's already pretty narrowed down. And so the final thing that we're looking for is the email address of the person between incident ID 1 and 500 is what we're looking for. So I can technically just go here, I think, and filter through these things right here and just try to look at the incident IDs and try to see what we can find. So we have incident ID between 1 to 500. So there's incident ID 14, which is one right here, and it's incident ID 500. Does it say equal 1 to 500? So it could be, 2 to 499 technically. So we don't know if it's including that. So let's see if I added this specifically. So if I just do this one, because if I don't equal 500, the specific person's email address is not what I'm looking for. The team member email address. Oh, there's 2 of them. So there's A Johnston and then there's CM Blue, that both of them are involved in this particular incident. So that might not be exactly what I'm looking for. So let's not do that. So let's do an actual query where we're going for the range, right? So we're going to do incident ID as our parameter that we're going to search for. And the first one is going to be greater than or equal to 1. And incident ID is going to be less than or equal to 500. So let's do that. And we got, so yeah, I mean, same things, literally same results. We have the same 2 results here. So let's see what our usernames are going to be. Okay, so when we go to the team member email address, we actually now have a third email address, which is the jlim@cybert.com. So I wonder if it's this guy. So jlim@cybert.com. Let's see if that's the guy. Oh, that is the guy. Okay, so the work again was fine. So we did great work. It just happens to be that there's 3 values here that have to do with these specific things, and it's because the team member usernames are multiple usernames per incident. So each incident had multiple usernames on it. So for example, on this one, we have the team member email address, which is CM Blue and A Johnston for this one. And then for the one that's below it, the team member address, let me see if I can find it real quick. On this one, actually, there's only one team member, which is attached to it, which is this guy. So JLim. So JLim was the only one for this particular event. And then when we go into this event, it had multiple people, which was the CM Blue and A Johnston. So these were the 2 users, and the one that we found that was relevant to us was JLim anyway. But again, the work was right. We did the right approach and we got everything on that side right. So that was all good. So let's go through fuzzy searching. What is fuzzy searching? Okay, so fuzzy searching is beneficial when we're searching for documents with inconsistencies or typos in the data, which happens a lot, very frequently. Um, it accounts for these variations and retrieves relevant documents by allowing a specified number of character differences, which is known as fuzziness or fuzzing. This is actually a tactic that's also done by hackers and attackers to get past certain elements on a web form or on a web page. So if there's character differences between the search term and the actual field value, this is what fuzziness or fuzzing or fuzzy searches mean. So for example, if you want to search for server, you can use the fuzzy search to return documents containing server or server 01, server 001, etc. So we have server 01, server 01, server 01, sorvor 01, workstation 01, workstation 001. These two, I don't understand how these two are connected in any way, but these ones you can tell that there's a similarity to it. So to search for all the documents where the hostname field is similar but not necessarily identical to server, you can use the following query. You could say hostname and then server 01 and then this little squiggly thing. I don't exactly know what it means. We're just gonna call it a squiggly 1. So when you use this character, it indicates that we're doing a fuzzy search, and the format looks like this. So you have the field name, which would then be the search term, and then the squiggly, and then the fuzziness value. So if the hostname is server 01 status online, the hostname could be server 01 status online. And both of these are going to be returned when you use this specific query. The fuzziness value lets you control how many characters differ from each term. So a fuzziness of 1 returns the documents above that you just saw. The fuzziness of 2 will return this specific thing. So again, same thing, right? Hostname server 01, but now you have squiggly 2, which is a fuzziness of 2, which will return hostname server 01 status online, hostname server 01 status online, hostname sorvor 01 status online. The thing that you want to keep in mind is that it does not work on nested data, and it will only work on a one-word type of a string. Despite the limitations, it's still very useful. So the difference that we just see right here is that this is obviously server, so this is what you're looking for, right? Server 01, but a fuzziness of 2. So obviously it'll still show the previous one that we had, which is SERBER. So the only difference in this search term is the B versus the V right here. But in this search term, the difference is 2 digits, so 2 characters, which is SOR instead of SER, and then VOR instead of VER. So now there's 2 different characters that vary inside of this specific result, which would be, we have a fuzziness of 2. So if we had a fuzziness of 3, then it could potentially have, SORVE, I don't know, VOB or something, I don't know. But 3 different characters would change. I think you understand what that means. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our Kibana instance, and we're going to go to the fuzzy searches, and then now we're going to switch the syntax to use Lucene instead of KQL, and this is what happens on the little end of the search phrase right here, or the search bar. You just change it from KQL and it goes to Lucene. So if you turn it off, it'll just go to Lucene. And that essentially is going to allow us to make these types of search queries for fuzziness. So when it's actually set up, you can do this as a query, and then you will get this as a result, ideally. And then it'll also work if the number of characters is not the same. For example, if workstation 01 with a fuzziness of 1 could result with workstation 01, workstation 001, right? That's a fuzziness of 1 technically, because there's an extra character that's added to it, so technically that could work as well. And then we could do this and use the incidence index, as we've been doing so far, to answer these questions right here. So that being said, I'm going to open my browser back up real quick, because this is my second day of recording this particular room. So I just have to end back in my little Splunk instance, and from there we'll be able to visit the information that we want. Oh, I used the attack box IP. This is actually the IP that I need to use. Okay, here we go. All right, so we are now in our fuzzy searches index, and we're just going to go in this corner right here, click on KQL, and we're going to turn it off so that we can use Lucene as our search query language. And so the first thing, I just want to try the one that we had in fuzzy searches, which was the host name, because we really literally only have 6 results here. So host name server 01, and then do the little squiggly 1, and then press enter, and it'll give us 2 results exactly like they said. So server 01, server 01. So that one's all good. And then if I just change this from the host name to become workstation, I can just change this piece right here and just turn that into workstation. So that's the query, hostname workstation 01 squiggly 1, and then workstation 01 and 001. So you can see that it actually works and it's all good. So now that we've done that, we're going to go back to our incidents index, and I got to delete this just to make sure that we have all of our results. And we got to make sure that we have, instead of the last 15 minutes, I do need to also modify this because it resets since the last time that I came here. So I believe it was January of 2022. So let me just fix this real quick. All right, cool. Here we go. So we got our 1,000 hits as we do normally. And the first question is this. So let's go to the actual first question here. It says, including the misspellings, how many incidents has J. Lim handled where he misspelled the word true? So including the misspellings, how many incidents has J. Lim handled where he misspelled the word true? So I'm going to just make sure that I have Lucene installed here, or not installed, but selected as my language. And I think I should be able to stack my queries with Lucene the same way that we did with the previous exercises that we did. So I'm going to try it that way. If not, we'll just do what we did previously, where we'll just add a filter. Can I make this go away real quick? I just want to make that go away. We'll add this filter. So we'll add the filter and we'll have the user be JLim, and then from there we'll modify the search parameter the way that we want. I just want to make sure that we can't use it inside of the search bar and just stack the values on top of each other. So let's see what we can do. Okay, cool. We actually can stack them inside of the queries right here. So, you know, the first value was for JLim. So we just wanted to make sure that it was this guy. So team member's email address, jlim@cybert.com. And the way that you find that, just in case you don't remember, is by going through these parameters down here and just clicking on team member's email address. And then you'll see that you have a bunch of different email addresses. And so since we're looking for JLim, we're just going to use his email address as the search query. And then from there, we're going to use the operator and then combine it with the incident comments. True is what we're looking for. And then we're going to do squiggly 1 to give it a fuzziness of 1. And so we got 110 hits. If you don't do this, just so you see, if you don't do that, you get 244 hits. So we know that we're on the right track and we were able to modify it. But if I do that, haha, I said doo-doo, then I get 110 hits. So there we go. So let's try 110, see if that works. Okay, cool. That did work. Now it says, how many incidents has J. Lim handled where he misspelled the word negative? So let's see what our hint gives us. It says, first count how many times negative was spelled correctly, then compared to the results of a fuzzy search. Okay, so how many incidents has J. Lim handled where he misspelled the word negative? So we need to get 2 things. So incident comments, we're just going to change that to negative. And it seems that we have 115 hits where he actually misspelled the word negative correctly. So if I do squiggly 1, we have 119 hits. So I guess that would be a difference of 4 hits. So let's try 4. Oh, there you go. That is indeed the result. So 4 hits. And there is that. All right, now we got the next piece right here, which is proximity searches. All right, proximity searches allow you to search for documents where the field value contains 2 or more terms with a specified distance. So in KQL, the Kibana query language, you can use the match phrase query with the slop parameter. I don't know even what that even means. To perform a proximity search. The slop parameter sets the the maximum distance that the terms can be from each other. For example, a slop value of 2 means that the words can be up to 2 positions away from each other. So the format when doing this is like this. So you have the field name, the actual value for it, the search term, squiggly, and then the slop value. So this is, again, very similar to what we did previously with our fuzziness. In this situation, the squiggly is used for both proximity and fuzzy. The difference is that in proximity searches, the slop value is applied to a phrase that's enclosed in quotation marks, meaning this. So, for example, we have the log IDs here, and then we have the log message: server error, failed login, server failed on startup with error, login to server failed successfully, server detected error in connection. So, to search for all the documents where the terms server and error appear within a distance of 1 word or less from each other, in the log message field, you can use the following. So we would say log message server error squiggly 1, meaning that these 2 words would be at least 1 word away from each other, meaning the result would look like this. The log message comes back, server error, failed login attempt. Okay, so we still have server error as one full phrase. And then the next one right here says server detected error, and the separator right here is the detected part. So they're in proximity of 1 from each other, meaning they're in proximity of 1 word separated from each other. If you had 2 right here, it could be detected an error, and that would be considered the result that it would get. So the server and error have 1 word or less in between them. So if we change the query to failed login 0, it would have to show only failed login, right? Because there is not supposed to be any kind of a proximity next to it. So now we're going to try it out in Kibana. So we're going to go to the proximity searches index, use this parameter, and then we'll get our results. And then of course we're going to end up going to the incidents index and then trying it out to get these answers right here. So let's delete this whole piece right here. And then we're going to go to our proximity searches, and we should have, okay, we only have 4 hits. So that one's, it's pretty straightforward. So I'm just going to use the ones that they gave us for proximity searches as a practice. So the first one is this specific search right here. All right, so server error with a squiggly of 4, meaning a proximity of 4. And in this case, we got server error, server detected error, and then server failed on startup with error. So this one actually has 4 words in the middle of it. This one only has 1, and this has 0 words in between them. So you can see how that works. And then we have another one, I believe. Oh, so we have an or statement that we're going to add to it. So the first one is going to be log message server error squiggly 1 or login server and then a squiggly of 1. So that's what it's going to be. And now we get 4 hits. So server error, login to server, server detected error. So you can see how we can combine it to get more results. Very similar to everything else that we've been kind of stacking on top of each other up until this point. So log message could be this squiggly 1 or this squiggly 1, and it would give us said results here. So now that we have these as our practice, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our incidents index and we're going to see what we can find in all of our results. So let's see what we can get. Okay, so the first question is going to be how many incidents are there when you want to look for the words data leak and true negative in the comments that are at least 3 words in between them. So how many incidents are there when you want to look for the words data leak and true negative in the comments that are at least 3 words in between them? So we're going to be looking inside of the comments for these 2 combinations, I believe. So let's see. First, we want to find the comment portion, and I think it's just, incident comments. So we're going to say and then data leak with a squiggly of 3, right? They said 3 words. Yeah, 3 words in between them. Data leak and true negative. So data leak, and then we're going to do and in between, and then we're going to say true negative, and then a squiggly of 3. So let's see what we get. We got 437. Holy cow. So 437 hits where inside the comments there is a data leak and true negative. And so if we go through it, we can see here, right? So we have true negative, true negative, true negative, true negative. Let's see what else I can find here that might have some words in between it. True negative, data leak, true negative, true negative, data leak, true negative, data leak, true negative in one right there, data leak, data leak. So it seems to be, so far it just seems to be these. I can't find one that actually has a word between those phrases. It just happens to be that all of those things are here. So maybe whatever. I'm not gonna keep searching because it seems to be a waste of time. The result seems to be 437 though. So let's try 437. Well, actually, I mean, I can tell from here it's wrong already because they give us a little bit of a hint right here that you have that. So data leak and true negative in the comments that are at least 3 words in between them. So let's see what I did wrong here. Okay, so I tried this one. I just removed the piece previously where we had data leak squiggly 3 and true negative squiggly 3, and it came out with only 33 hits because it's actually combining this entire phrase with a squiggly of 3 in between them. So for example, we have data leak true negative, and then this one is data leak incident is a true negative. So like that. And it gives us 33 hits. So this one might be good. That is good. So it's the phrasing of the question. This is kind of one of the issues that I have with this room, is that the phrasing of the question kind of leads you to think about, I don't know, looking for the answer in different ways. But I think the previous strategy or the previous query that I did wasn't a bad query or anything. It's just that I didn't fully understand what they were trying to ask for inside of this question. So the way that they phrased it, to me, it seems like you're searching for this squiggly 3 and this squiggly 3. But it happens to be that you want to combine these 2 phrases in one search. So basically put both of these 2 phrases inside of quotes and then give them a proximity of 3 or a squiggly of 3. So how many incidents has A. Johnston investigated that have the words detected and negative in the comments that are 2 words apart? So, okay. So based on this one, I kind of understand what's happening. So first we're going to look for A. Johnston's email, and then we're going to combine that with these 2 with 2 words apart. So let's create that here. Okay, there's our query. So we have incident comments detected negative 2, and that gave me 165, and then I added team member's email address, which is A. Johnston. So we're going to do that, and it's going to be 366. Holy cow, was that even right? That can't be right. So it says detected and negative in the comments that are 2 words apart, and then incidents has A. Johnston investigated that have the words. So incident comments detected and negative, and team member's email address is this guy. So is it not registering the and? There you go. Oh, it has to be uppercase and. That seems to be the issue. So let's see. Let's try this now. Okay, that's right. Okay, so keep that in mind. The uppercase and is very important. If you do a lowercase and, it won't register it. Yeah, and it gives you 366. So there you go. If you do an uppercase and, it actually combines the 2. And there it is. So that was it for our proximity. And finally, we're going to go into regular expressions. So let's see what we got here, and we'll wrap the room. Our regular expressions, or regex, regexp, etc., they allow you to use a pattern to match fields. So you'll find this in a lot of different sources. Honestly, you'll probably be using regular expressions very regularly, no pun intended. We can use regexp or regex in Kibana to search for complex patterns that can't easily be found using simple queries or wildcards. We need to really understand this. I haven't done the video on regex room, so I do understand that I owe you this video. I promise I will make that video. Just to get a good understanding of it, it's probably good to either do a search for some basic regex patterns. You can use Gemini to help you create your patterns. There's also a website called regex 101 that you can use to verify your regex patterns and make sure that they're actually working. So we're going into Kibana right away, and the regex can be confusing if you don't know what you're doing. So Kibana highlights matches in the documents to verify that we're actually using the expressions correctly. So we're going to go to regular expressions as our index, and we're going to use the following data set, which is basically what I believe is going to be inside that index. So you have the date, event type, description, source IP, destination IP, and URL. The event type is what you see here, description is what you see, etc. So all of these things are available here, right? So what you're going to try to do is create a regex pattern to see what you can pull from the event type. So for example, a / is something that you can do to wrap your regex inside of the /. So we can do a very simple one, which is dot asterisk to match all characters of any length. So the asterisk in this case is still a wildcard, and a dot stands for any character. So it could be an alphanumeric character, it could be a special character, and any other type of character. And then you have any length, which is what the asterisk represents. Now when you put those two inside of a /, you're wrapping it, which means that in the event type, I want basically anything to show up. And so what you do here, when you enter this, you'll see that you actually get all of the anything, really. So event type, SQL injection, cross-site scripting attack, so on and so forth. So all the entries of event type that matched are highlighted in yellow. If we want to only return entries that start with S or M, then we can use the following. So you have, again, the / that will wrap it for you. You can do S or M. The pipe stands for or in this case, and it's a capital S or a capital M. And these two are inside of parentheses to just package this for you. And it's a capital S or a capital M in this case, and then followed by any character as many counts, right? So if it's S or M, and then it's all wrapped inside of these /, you'll get these types of results. So it starts with an S or it starts with an M, and then the rest of it is as long as it can be, right? One thing to note is that the regex engine in Kibana has its behavior changes depending on the data type. So we've only used regex on the event type field, and the data type is set internally to keyword. Regex expressions behave as you'd expect when searching for data with this type. The behavior changes if the data is set to text. For example, the field description has text as its data type. So if you do this description, this whole thing, you'll get a bunch of stuff, right? You get like this whole block of text that will come, like the entire chunk of text will come back, right? Because you're saying technically that you want any character and then as many iterations of that character. So it's going to give you the entire description highlighted inside of that thing. And sometimes the descriptions are very, very long. So it'll just highlight the whole thing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the information that you're looking for. So all the entries are returned because we match all the characters of any length, right? So this is where things change. Trying the following in description and then saying any word that starts with an S or an M of any length, then you'll end up just seeing these types of things. So you'll see SQL only, and then you'll see site scripting only, so on and so forth. So instead of the whole description being highlighted, only single words are highlighted with an S or an M starting. This is because when a text field is analyzed, the string is tokenized and the regular expression is matched against each word. This is why the words SQL, steal, service, and even site from cross-site scripting is highlighted. So you can be very flexible with this. And this is another example of this. So again, it's wrapped in /, and then you have any word starting with S and M wrapped in its /, and then the user wrapped in forward slashes followed by this, right? So if you go here, you'll have malware because it starts with an M, and then users, S user, right? So you see that. So now we're going to go to the incidents index dataset and actually answer these questions. So we want to make sure that we're using leucine in this particular case. So how many incidents are there where a client list file was affected by ransomware? So we're going to be searching for file, and then we're looking for client list affected by ransomware. So let's try to make that query and see what we can get. Let me go back to full screen with this. All right, so looking through our available fields down here, we want to look at obviously the affected system, affected file name. That's one of the parameters that we're going to be searching through. And then I believe there's also something, yeah, incident type. So that's another thing that we're going to be searching through. So our incident type is going to be ransomware, and we're going to go through the file name and try to find anything that starts with client list and then kind of follows along with that. So first and foremost, let's do our query. So if I do incident type ransomware, we'll see that we got 125 hits. So we're going to add and to it, and you got to make sure that and is in all caps lock. And what we're going to do is we're going to search for affected. All right, there we go. So affected systems, affected files, file name. I put it inside quotes, so hopefully that'll actually work. And then the whole thing is wrapped inside of forward slashes. So let's see if this actually works for us. Okay, so we didn't get that. So I'm going to remove my quotes, and let's see if this actually works for us. We got 70 hits. Okay, so the quotes don't work. Just so you know, when you're doing regular expressions, you want to remove the quotes because the forward slashes are going to act as your quotes essentially. So ransomware is inside the incident type, and the file name is some kind of client list. So if we go to right here, you'll see client list with the date followed by it, and then same thing down here, right? So literally anything else, client list with the date. So the incident type is ransomware, client list is in there, and we got 70 hits. So let's see if that's all good. That is all good. Now, what is the name of the affected system at the earliest incident date that eVenus, whatever, investigated with a file name containing the word project? So we're going to use project, and that's going to be part of our regex. The person that is going to be doing it is going to be eVenus. And then we're looking at what is the name of the affected system at the earliest incident date. Okay, so let's try to find that. All right, the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go, and I'm just going to modify this real quick just to change the file name to what we're looking for, which I believe it was project, right? So it has project in it somehow. And then this piece right here is what we want to change for the team member. I think there's something for team member username actually. Yeah, team member name. There we go. Team member name. And then we have eVenus down here, which I guess it could also work with the email address, but we'll just do team members name, and then it's going to be eVenus like that, and affected system is going to be such and such. We have 81 hits. So let's see if these things should be chronological, right? So let me see what the chart options look like. High chart, etc., internal, whatever. I can go here. So this would be the very earliest date. I can just click on that. And then now what I'm looking for in this case is the name of the server, I think, right? Is that what we're looking for? The name of the affected system at the earliest date. So we'll just do a drop down, and then we'll go through the data real quick. And there we go. That is it. Affected system, system name, file server 78. So we're going to copy that and go here, and let's just paste that in here. All right, there we go. We just finished. We wrapped our Advanced ELK Queries room. That was pretty useful, honestly. I really find this very useful, mainly because of the fact that this is an open source software, and more often than not, especially if you're working for a smaller company, they don't have a really big budget for their security, information event management, or their SIM solution. And it would just be a really good idea for you to know how to use something that is open source. And ELK Stack in general, Logstash, Elasticsearch, and Kibana are really, really powerful tools that you can use for free if you know how to use them. So this was a great room. I'm very, very happy with the teachings in this room, and I hope that you also are, and you actually got a lot of value from it. If you did indeed get value from this video, and if you've gotten any kind of value from this channel, I encourage you and welcome you to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out. And I would love to see you in our comment section as well. The comment section is always popping, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the comments. People just say things like thank you, or they just ask questions, and I welcome both. I am very, very very proud to actually get the kind of response that we get, and to get the kind of contribution and involvement that we get with people. And if there are any questions that come in, I respond to them as soon as I possibly can. For example, the most recent one that we got was actually from a guy who had a very detailed question about our snort room. So we did a snort live challenge room, and he asked a very, very specific question about it, and it had nothing to do with the actual content of it. He was just asking because he wanted to learn more, and he wanted to understand how the results were being generated, and I gave him a really long, great response. And I love those types of environments and those types of questions. And if it is a really, really, high detailed question, then I'll create a video for it as a response to the comment, and of course give a shout out to the person who asked the question. So if you have any questions that come up, let me know. It doesn't have to be about this specific video that you just watched. If there's something else that you have in mind, definitely let me know, and I'll either respond if I can in the comment, or if it becomes too long of a response, then I'll go ahead and create a video as a response to your comment. So make sure that you like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and drop a comment, because I really do want to hear from you. And that's what makes a community, is the involvement and the interaction with the people that are here. So would love to hear from you, and would love to see you in our community. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker / protector. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Love, peace, and chicken grease. I will see you in the next video. Face reveal is going to be at 10,000 subs. My identity reveal is going to be at 100,000 if people don't already figure out who I am when they see my face. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got for you. I would love to see you in the next video, and by now there should already be the announcement that our YouTube membership community is also live. So Hackaholics Anonymous is very much live, and I would love to see you in that community as well. All right, see you in the next video.